So are there more people than just Christian that I just can't see everybody?
Yeah, sure. So, hi everyone. There is about 5 of you on. So I'm joined by Katy Gilbert, your fellow torchbearer, and you can see Christian Eustathiou, who's part of our events team. She's going to be on just helping monitor questions and whatnot.
Oh, cool.
So,
good.
Yeah,
Thanks,
so
Christian.
that's the crew who you see here, and we are sure that Laura will be along shortly. These are crazy times, so I know sometimes things don't go exactly like we expect they will. I'm sure she's caught on the call. So we've got we've got a nice size group here today. We have about 12 of you on at this point. Let's see, there's Laura Keller. Let's see, we can't see you, Laura. Just one second. If I can promote you to a panelist, and then I think you should be able to join us.
Oh, there she is.
There you are. Thanks everyone for, Laura, if you can share your camera, that would be awesome. And I think you should, I can unmute you.
Yeah, I'm trying. This is weird. There we go.
There we go. All right, to the rest of you, oh my God. You look like a meeting that we had earlier this week. We had, we're really trying to embrace things, and we had a Tiger King themed meeting here at the office. I will share that later, but I highly recommend all of you theme your meetings. I highly recommend it. So thank you all for being really patient with me, getting used to the webinar like everybody else out there. I know we're all really proficient in the Zoom call. The one-on-one at this point is just feels as second nature as sending a text these days. But the Zoom webinar is a little bit new, but we are learning to connect in all different ways. So thanks for your patience on that. Thank you to Katy Gilbert for joining us, and Laura Keller. Do you guys want to remind the group where you're from, where you're practicing?
Go ahead, Laura.
So I am just west of Ottawa in Carleton Place, Ontario.
I am located in Vermont, in the Upper Valley area, which is near Dartmouth College, if you're familiar with that. And I'm also licensed in New Hampshire as well. So my office is actually in New Hampshire.
Great. So we've done a couple of these across RE/MAX INTEGRA the last couple weeks, and I had the opportunity to do one yesterday with a few of the gals on my team. And we just started by talking about how our days look differently now. Laura, you want to start us off and just give us sort of the broad strokes on, I mean, I think it's clear when you show up to a meeting dressed in that hat that things are a little bit different in your world. You want to give us some of the broad strokes?
Beside the computer, so that will give you an indication of how often I'm wearing it. It just gives people a bit of a smile these days. I think primarily, just like everybody else, it's a lot of video stuff, even with clients and buyers. I did a transaction last week that was completely virtual, which was great. The buyers were not from here, so they had planned to travel and do a tour and buy while they were visiting, and it just, obviously travel plans are canceled for everybody. So we were able to do everything virtually, and including the inspections, and we firmed up earlier this week. So it's possible.
How about you, Katy? What would you say are the biggest, I mean, other than the obvious, right? Like we're not out at the coffee shops and whatnot meeting customers, but how do those meetings look different for you?
Well, I think the hardest thing for me, which I know that this is one of your questions that will be kind of, so I'm going to segue into it a bit here, sure. But in Vermont is not considered essential for real estate, but New Hampshire is. So I get stuck on a fence of I can do everything like normal, obvious precautions being taken. I mean, I had a listing appointment this morning in gloves and a mask, and the mask makes my nose run terrible. Like clearly I'm in the right profession because I should never be wearing one of those. Like it drives me crazy. But you know, gloves and trying to write and, you know, and not touch a bunch of things is very different. And I'm touchy, and I would rather hug somebody when I meet them. So, and I think usually like our rapport has already lent itself to that. So it's so weird. Like just, I've now like realized that I don't even stick my hand out to shake. And I'm like, whoa, like that's just practice now. But so I think the hardest thing for me and the biggest difference is that I I may not have a hat on like Laura does right now, but I am wearing so many different ones a day because I have to shift back and forth between, okay, yep, we can take a look at that. I have had 3 listing appointments in the last few weeks in Vermont, and we've done them all remotely, and we've done FaceTime calls, and that's been fine because really, ultimately, it's not as nice as being there, but it works to get them an opinion of value. Sure. But I think that the hardest thing for me is that it's just a shift back and forth. And I started a spiel off yesterday with a gentleman, and I could have sworn he had said his house was in Vermont. So I talked for like 5 minutes on all the things we would do to virtually get him listed. And he's like, is that because your office is in Vermont? And I was like, no, what do you mean? And he said, well, my house is in New Hampshire. I'm like,
oh boy.
Okay, scratch that. I'll be over tomorrow,
I'll start again.
But it's also hard because I strongly believe that we should be taking more precautions. And this is not a political debate by any means, but I have, I live with my mother-in-law as a cancer patient survivor. And so we have to be very cautious. So again, I take all the extra steps if I am going out. And if I've got showings, I try to limit it to like 2, and then like, okay, we're not seeing 18 houses today. I'm not going in that many different places.
Right.
So that's where I'm at.
So you bring up a good question, and you're playing both sides of it. So I think we just sort of heard your take on it, Katie. I'll throw it to Laura. Are you telling people to list or to wait? And are you essential or not? Give us the landscape.
So in Ontario, realtors and businesses who support realtors, including photographers, inspectors, and everything else, we're declared essential. That doesn't mean business as usual. We've been told specifically that we're not supposed to be doing what we're normally doing. So what that means for me and for most of our brokerage is that we're finishing up transactions that were in the works. Mm-hmm. And then anybody who has sold and needs to buy, or has bought and needs to sell, those are the people who we believe do need to move and require essential services like us. There are realtors who are still doing the usual, and they're still listing a lot. It seems like there's quite a few listings still coming on the market every day, which is surprising, although the numbers are obviously way down for sales. Open houses are banned in Ontario, which is great. We're really happy to see that. And our brokerage and many other brokerages have taken the stance where we fill out questionnaires with both our sellers and our buyers to say that they haven't been in contact with anybody, they haven't traveled, etc. And then on the seller side, an extra questionnaire to say that where they get to pick and choose certain services that we can offer them, so that it's comfortable for them.
That's great. I saw a great video by Christopher Alexander. Laura, I'm not sure if you saw it. And Katie, I don't know if you know who Christopher is or the rest of the attendees.
I don't, but I'm taking notes.
Yeah, so Christopher runs our OA region. That's what we call it internally, our Ontario Atlantic region. So our Canadian footprint, which is Toronto and East. He did a great video, I think it was yesterday, about stopping the shaming. So are you guys seeing that? Are you feeling that, some people are posting on Facebook? Katie, I think I saw yours. Did you post this morning that you were out? Yeah, I was going to say, I think I saw it, and I can read between the lines because I watched these posts pre this and now in this current situation of, you're showing pictures of you in your gloves and wiping things down. Are you finding that that you're dealing with that shaming piece a little bit, that people are giving you a hard time for being out there? Katie?
Yes, hugely. It's actually realtor to realtor. And it's hard. And as I said, I am doing my best to be best practice. I actually, right at the very get-go of this, right before Vermont went on official lockdown, I showed a house on a Thursday afternoon, my listing. I had hand sanitizer. I sprayed everybody. I had the spray from the conference, love that. I love that. I want more of those. Do you have more? Send those out to us.
There may or may not be like 3 in this closet here.
Yes, that's been fantastic. I love that because that was really good for spraying down my steering wheel as well. So again, this was right at the beginning of everything. So I was already taking those precautions, and my sellers that still wanted to be showing, I had them all set, hand sanitizer outside their door. So we were pumping everybody before they went in, whatever. That's what we were doing. So I'm in there showing with a buyer's agent and his buyer, and she had brought along her 2 little kids. And again, this was really so new. I mean, this is at this point almost a month ago. And she was fine, but she happened to mention that she had just returned that morning at 4 a.m. to their house from a trip to Florida. And I thought, Jesus, okay, about all they're saying right now, they're saying, if you are flying, stay home. Like, okay, but I don't think anything of it, right? She's got her kids. She doesn't seem sick. Monday afternoon, I got a call from that buyer's agent saying, you know, the buyer we showed you on Thursday afternoon with the kids? Yep. She just tested positive today. Today, that means that she had to have gotten tested like the very next day. There is no rapid testing in my area. I really was like just a little bummed about that. And so that was my first experience. Like, okay, I actually now need to self-quarantine. So that for me right there was when I said, nope, I'm gonna do it. Other people may not be, but I'm going to do it. But I wasn't shaming others. But now what's happened is that I'm not showing any of my Vermont stuff, but I am licensed in both states. And there are plenty of realtors in our area who aren't. And you can tell, and the comments are all over the place. And those are the ones that are seeking out people who might be breaking the rules. And I've already heard of several agents getting in trouble for doing it. Now, I think that we should all play by the same rules, that we should be following the rules. And I don't think that it was right that those people did what they did, but I thought, are we really that cutthroat? Like, these are people I know well. And I've heard like who are the whistleblowers. I mean, there was a couple of inspectors who got in trouble for doing a few at some Vermont vacant houses. And I thought, like, come on, these houses have been vacant forever. Like, because that part's essential. These people have to move. We've got a bunch of people who got matched for the hospital. They're coming here June 15th. They've got to get this moving. Like, they have to have a place to live. So
yeah, you're definitely seeing the essential.
I'm bummed to see that we a month into this, that we jumped to such dire straits that we're going to just try and get one another in trouble. Like, just have a conversation with their broker. If you want to go that way, just have a conversation with the broker that, hey, look, the rest of us have got to sit still. You know, it's not right that your person's out there doing your own video tours at properties. Like, all my open houses, those are my sellers. And that's why it shakes around so much. And they
should be able to see that in there.
They're moving. But that's how we're doing it.
Yeah. Laura, I assume we're seeing some of that because, Christopher came right out with a pretty firm stance on that. And he lives in the GTA. So do you want to comment on that at all, about what you're seeing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to turn off the noise. I typically don't care what other people think anyway. So this isn't really new for me, but I think there's a lot of people who are really struggling, people who are being shamed, and also the people who are shaming, because we're all affected in a different way. And this is how some people are unfortunately dealing with the shock that's become our reality. Mm-hmm. And it's sad, but I think we also have to play by the rules. So there's shaming on one side, but if you're breaking the rules, then you need to be called out at the same time. Uh-huh. So, I mean, as long as we're following what we're supposed to be doing, yeah, I think it's fine. We're not seeing a ton of it in Ottawa. Most people are being really respectful for the most part. But certainly on the wider Facebook network groups that we're all part of, we're seeing some pretty rude comments, but that it shows your true colors. And I think that it's narrowing my list of people I would refer to. So
I think these situations, good, bad, or indifferent, anytime we go to any extreme, you see people's true colors. So I don't know why we would expect that this would be any different.
No, this is a typical Facebook thing. Like, if those are the posts that I'm like, no, I'm definitely not. Sometimes I'm like, whoa, I cannot believe that person commented in that way. Like, just let it go. Like, leave it alone. But that's
making everybody think twice about what they put out there, for sure.
Yes. Yep.
What I would love to hear from you guys is what creative ways are you overcoming hurdles? You know, and maybe you don't have anything that's different, but I suspect in this group, you guys might. You know, everybody's doing their video tours. I'm hearing about drive-through closings. I'm hearing all sorts of things that would have been absurd to us 6 weeks ago.
Go ahead, Laura. I went first last time.
Sorry, I put you on the spot.
No, that's okay. I mean, realtors don't do closings in Ontario. We are present. So all we do is, for people who aren't familiar with how it works in Ontario and Canada, you do an offer, usually within a week, you have a firm deal, which means the closing is guaranteed. And then you just wait. So financing and inspection is done within that week. And sometimes there are no conditions and it's firm immediately. So, and then you just wait for closing and then the lawyers take care of the transferring of the title.
I want to come there.
Right.
Yeah.
I know.
None of that clear to close, like nail biter stuff.
Holding their hand the whole way.
No. So our work is all done leading up to the offer and then for the negotiations. And then after that, it's just a waiting period. So we're not seeing any major issues yet. There are some concerns as we get into the period of time where people are closing that have purchased prior to this and maybe they've lost their jobs or whatever. And so we're trying to wait and see what the banks are going to be saying because up to now they've said if we've guaranteed you financing during the conditional period, then you're good to go and we won't double check basically your employment. But I think moving forward, there are banks that are going to be checking prior to closing to see if you've had any change of income. So that's going to be one major change. Yeah, I think that's probably
the biggest change that you're seeing.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Katy, anything to add? Anything creative that you yourself are seeing, or other agents in your market, or other partners? You know, Laura talked about our lenders. You know, you've got our lawyers that play a role here in the U.S. You know, they get them across the finish line. Any of your partners, are you seeing them work in a creative way that might be beneficial to share with this group?
Well, I think that it probably is what most of us in the States are doing, you know, with the drive-through closings. Like we just drop the checks off now. We don't even go, which is like, I mean, closings are an hour worth of, if they've got financing for us, it's usually an hour worth of just sit there and wait for your check to be passed across the table. Just need that. So we're really not needed there, but it is a little different to not like be able to, again, stand up, give them a hug. I always come up with creative closing gifts, like, and I can't do that, you know, or I can, but I have to come up with other ways. Like, you know, I've been doing some of those HelloFresh gift cards because then it's just going right to their house. They can get it when they want, like things like that. But one thing that I did hear someone mention recently, and I really like the idea. I have not executed it myself, but they had some people in Vermont that made an offer. And the house is newer, so wasn't expected to have major inspection issues, but we are stuck in having to wait till May 15th for the ban to be lifted for any of that stuff to go on. So
we hope. Yes, I mean, correct. You know, I mean, that's the date that's given, but we have all sorts of arbitrary dates.
Right. So we're making these addendums that say, okay, on or before, probably at this point, I mean, I have my assistant working on a few now, on or before May 31st, because, you know, there's only so many inspectors in our area and so many people are pent up, like put things under contract in the last few weeks and now can't do an inspection. So another agent suggested, and she's done it, and they're actually going to close. They're going to close in like a few weeks, but they're escrowing money for the inspection to happen after the closing. Because this is why, so I should have to explain it. So
for the cost of the closing or for potential repairs as well?
For potential repairs.
Interesting.
So what they're doing is the seller said, look, we don't expect major issues, but we're willing to escrow $5,000 to take care of. So up to $5,000. So the buyers had to be like, okay, so up to $5,000 worth of items, we can ask for a request. If there's not $5,000, they'd have to show it. It's, again, there's some more language. I mean, you'd have to like say, okay, the boiler needs cleaning for $200, the septic needs pumping for $350, whatever it is. They'd all have to add up to an actual number. But the seller said, look, I'd be willing to negotiate that much. Okay, so I'm going to give you $5,000. You can either just take it off, or they decided that they'll do the inspection after the fact, because most appraisals are allowed to be desktop type appraisals where they're being done exterior only. Most lenders are shifting that because they can't get in right now. So for those who do need to push the closing date to get this done due to a move, job change, whatever it is, so that was I like it. I have not used it, but it did make me think.
First time I've heard that.
Yeah. You know, because then you see where the seller's at right at the beginning. Because if you get all the way into this and now you wait a month and a half and the seller isn't willing to negotiate at all. I'm in that situation right now. We made a full price offer and he won't budge a bit, and there are major issues with the house. Now my seller's been under contract forever, or my buyer has been, and she's going to be out money and he won't budget. I'd rather know at the beginning. So kind of like that.
Sure.
But the only thing we're dealing with is buyers who have been laid off that have jobs to go back to, but we have to wait for them to be back to work for 10 to 15 days prior to closing happening. So until they go back to work, those are just kind of sitting in limbo. Thankfully, only one is really falling apart because the seller doesn't have the ability to wait and wasn't willing to sign that extension. I have a couple others and they're all fine. They get it, they understand, but we're now very just waiting. So.
It's both of those are the first. The second one I'd heard about people needing to be back for the 10 to 15 days, but I love the strategy of trying to get some skin in the game for the seller as well. Yeah. That we're willing to wait, but we can move it forward. You've got this amount of leeway, that 5,000.
Yeah.
I'm going to shift gears a little bit and talk more personally. How are the two of you staying motivated? What tips and tricks have you added into your maybe daily routine, or things that may have might have suspected you'd fall off the wayside based on a change in routine, but what are the non-negotiables for you to make it a good day?
Go ahead, Katie.
Okay. So I am a Tom Ferry coached person. I don't know actually how you say that, but I am in Tom Ferry's program. I have been for about a year and I've loved it. It was the game changer for me. Last year at the 40 Under 40 conference, it was I can remember actually having a great conversation with Laura one night on the rooftop deck. And she was already killing it and had all these suggestions. And I was like, oh my God, I wanted to furiously have somebody take notes for me. Because I was not.
If I record this, do you?
Yes, right. Trust me, I remember many of the things that we talked about that night. And I thought, holy shit, she's no nonsense. And what she said at the beginning, I don't care what people think. I loved that. And I was like, yes. So being part of the Tom Ferry coaching atmosphere has been fantastic for me. So Tom put out a whole pivot program. And I do know that he's got a lot of specials running if you just want to try it for a short period of time. And his whole pivot, that's just what he's calling this 30-day plan, which will obviously shift to more than 30 days, has been hugely instrumental. And just hopping on calls like this, even if because I'm never a panelist, so usually I can have my other laptop open and I can be working, but I'm listening. And there's just been these little things, and I have so many notes going. I had to create a folder of all these things because there's so much content going on. It's tough. You can't do it all. Right? We never can do it all. You've got to pick which little things you like here and there. But having that change in our tone, and that's what he keeps saying, is you need to change your tone. This is not about selling and buying right now. This is about being here for your people. And so, I did my badass quote segment yesterday. I do it once a week.
I have so many I want to send you. I live and die by quotes. You'll get an email from me later on that.
I love that.
I'm such a nerd.
My assistant sends them to me too. And so sometimes I'll be one I did about muddy waters that if you leave them alone, they will clear. That was all about COVID-19. I was on a walk in the rain and listening to something and it brought to mind. So those are great. So those are just connecting with people, just staying in front of them. So now it's just gives me motivation to try and make a post, just get out there and do more on the social media. Cause now I have a little more time, right? I'm not showing in Vermont. In Vermont it's probably a 70-30 split for me. So I am home a lot. I also have 2 teenagers that would be normally on 2 sports schedules, AAU basketball for both and each a spring sport. I realized we're never actually home at night. Now I take a walk every afternoon and I'm
it's brilliant, isn't it?
I'm like, whoa, this is the people who don't either have kids or they don't play sports or other extracurriculars. But for me, like it's been get on social media and just get in front of your people. And it doesn't, yesterday's quote was, done is better than perfect. Yeah, just do something, anything.
Progress, not perfection.
Yep. So that's non-negotiable for me, just getting on there and spending a little time just reaching out to people, quick little, I've been friend requesting at least 5 people a day if I can, new people that I'm like, no, I don't really, but then I think, I wonder if they bought or sold, or like I start thinking about where they are in my area. And that's just, you know, it's easy now because we have a little extra time to let that be a sponge.
Have you read anything by Tony Giordano?
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, he's got the magic formula for how many people you need to request a day and how to grow in people's comments. Anyway, that's a side note. But Laura, what's been non-negotiable for you?
I've actually taken some time just to do nothing.
So good, huh?
Beautiful.
Which I mean, I've been in real estate for 10 years at this point, and that's never happened. I don't ever take vacation until a couple of years ago, and even then you're still sort of working at the same time. So being forced to say no is kind of a blessing, to be honest. I'm getting back into it because I've had some time to rest, but we bought a Peloton, so I've been on that every couple of days. If some of you are my friends, you've seen that fun struggle. But one of the things that I've always done, but I've kind of grown it exponentially, is my community involvement. I started like that birthday parade thing. So for the kids who can't have birthday parties, I set up a route, and it actually ended up being like 28 kids. We drove by houses. So I had them set up once a week, but we were shut down by our local police station because it's unnecessary travel, which I totally understand, because if we got in an accident, it'd be another strain on the system, which I get. A little disappointing for the kids, but that's where we're at. Our family has donated money to food banks. We bought Easter dinners for a few families in the neighborhood who couldn't afford it. I'm usually popping by with gifts around this time of year, and I'm not doing that. I'm a big Buffini person, so that's part of my regular routine that I'm not doing because, again, it's unnecessary travel. So that's been difficult, but to follow along with John Krasinski's Good News videos.
Good News Network, or whatever he's calling
it. Good news.
Some good news. SGN, some good news.
So I hired a marketing company this year to help me kind of get to that next level. And of course, we're not doing anything that we had planned we were going to do. So we're setting up a YouTube channel for me to do some version of that in my town. So I'm reaching out to clients and the rest of my community to find out what their good news stories are, and then I will share them on YouTube on the platform, and hopefully bring some good news to our local households. So that's sort of where I'm getting my juice from, is helping out other people in the community, for sure.
So I think that's the most important piece. And there's a nice size, there's 11 other attendees on here who are not on screen. And I'll ask those 11 folks by way of comment now. I can promote you all to panelists. We can all come on screen. Some of you, that's a surprise party. So if you don't want to show your camera, I totally get it. Surprise! Laura doesn't care what you think. So
I don't care.
That's right.
Show me your best days.
I'd love to involve a few of you in the conversation and just sort of go around, if you're open to it, just, raise your hand, I guess. Give me the little hand raise on the icon there if you're open to it. And I will promote you guys to panelists. And I'd love to just go around the room and talk about one thing you're seeing in the community, one tip. And I can... You guys hear that? You guys all have kids at home. The doors are slamming. The dogs are barking. I thought they would
surprised mine has not.
I'm really surprised my door has not.
They would stay safely tied up in that closet. All right, Bobby, we're going to promote you to panelist here. Let's see. Matt, to panelists here. You guys are like totally my test run. Thank you for putting up with this.
How's everybody doing?
That's great. Good to see you, Bobby.
You too.
Let's see if we have anyone else. I think I've got everyone whose hand was up. is a panelist at that point. Okay, awesome. So if you guys decide you want to join in, raise your hand. We'll bring you on screen and we'll go around there. Hey, Jen. Hey, Matt. I, at 2:30 in the morning was scrolling Facebook, as you do, and came across this really cool thing in my town. And although I don't sell real estate, if I did, my entire day would be spent putting this together today. So it's a pretty budget looking flyer. I'm not going to fib here, but I'm going to share my screen and show you guys this flyer and kind of talk you through it, because I thought if anybody can bring this stuff to life, it would be you guys. Ben, hang on. We'll bring you on here. Okay, let's see here if I can share my screen. Okay. So here's the flyer. Holliston is a town not too far from me. These are all small business. This Fisk's General Store is the most phenomenal mom and pop. Like, you can buy your greeting card, you can buy candy, every kid gets a balloon, they have puzzles, it's lovely. And every single one of these businesses is just as fantastic. I know the owners of almost all of them. But this group, this Hometown Hospitality, has put together a $100 package for 4 people. You get dinner from one Outpost Farm, which is a turkey farm in the area. You get dessert from a bakery. You get a bottle of wine. You get a puzzle or a game and some flowers. And they had 100 packages to sell. I clicked on this link, and there was 140 people who have filled out the Google link. So they can't even keep up with the demand. And I thought there'd be a really cool slot in there to add $10 extra on to donate to, like, I live in a town called Ashland. We have the Ashland Emergency Fund. So like every, you like get the donation piece in there, sponsor it, however you guys want to package that up. But I just wanted to share that.
That was cool.
I can send anyone that flyer that wants the framework of that. I think you guys could all elevate that a little bit more than this was done, but something kind of cool. So, Biddy, what's going on? What's going on in your market? What's something that you've seen that you feel the rest of the group could benefit from?
No, I just listening to how everybody else is dealing with the battle, and I just, it's, I keep using the word sideways, but we're still staying busy. We're still dealing with competitive offers, albeit where you might see, 5 or 6, we're seeing maybe 2 or 3. So there's less people there, but I think it's more serious buyers, more serious sellers if they are kind of exploring to do something right now. But certainly we've dealt with a lot of people being furloughed or people being laid off and just putting things on hold. So it's I think we're all obviously all in the same boat here. Fortunately, I'm not like, Vermont where we can't go out, which I would be kind of freaking out if we can't do anything. It's a battle.
What's one thing you're doing to put a smile on your clients' faces? I've been watching one of our agents in Indiana, Paul Kiger. I don't know if any of you know him or follow him. I think he's a broker now, but he was doing a whole chalk campaign, and he was going out leaving messages on the driveways of his clients. Going out and doing it himself, so they wake up in the morning and there's, a message there from,
oh, I like that.
I love that. I have too many dirt roads, man.
Yeah, it's interesting. Honestly, I think, I try to text people, and it's more of just checking in with them. And because I don't know what the correct way of approaching people is anymore, where I don't want to be a salesperson. I just want to be, hey, I'm in your community.
Helper.
We're all dealing with something. Can I help? And in a way, I'm keeping in their mind. But it's just I don't ever know what the right thing to say is anymore. Because everybody's kind of handling and taking this differently.
I've got a great dialogue from the Buffini company that I'm happy to share with you guys if you want. It's just checking in calls with your clients and how to approach them so that it's not a sales thing and they know that you're there for them.
Yeah. That'd be great.
Okay. I'll send it to you, Katie, okay?
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I'll send out a recap of this and I'll put it in there. Be great. Jen, I saw you out with your ears on and your
so
Easter Bunny paraphernalia. Tell us about what's going on with you.
Yes, well, I miss people because
So
I
true.
thrive in that environment. So, yeah, we were able, my mother and I, who's my broker, were able to get 100 masks made from this girl and her grandmother. Cross state borders to get it. Sorry. Quick pickup, and then yeah, so we made little Easter baskets for our agents because, you know, in that leader mentality, you have to be thinking about them also. So that was coming from a little bit of a different place than just the agent side, because you know, we have, I mean, agents are kind of struggling right now that if they don't have a lot of business. So everyone got a few masks, and then little Easter candy, and then we got journals for them to, like, gratitude journals.
Perfect.
So that was really nice to do for the agents. But on the client level, you know, going along with missing my people, I'm just calling people, like, even if I haven't talked to them in 4 years, so I'm just kind of committing to like 5 a day. I'm just calling and checking in and saying hi and, hey, just wanted to check in on you. I started with the older ones first because I have some older clients. So I wanted to make sure they're doing well. And I mean, it's really from no other reason to just call and check in on them. And then
Calls are a lot longer now, eh?
I'm sorry, Laura.
The calls are a lot longer now than
Yes, they are.
Oh yeah.
They're not like
Everybody's taking your call.
Like 20
Oh
minutes.
yeah.
And only
Let's talk for a half hour.
Oh yeah. So that's why 5 a day is on the list.
Yeah.
But that, and then just, you know, getting out and exercising, because you can really go, I'm very antsy and like to keep moving. So, you know, the lack of calls and business and all that. I mean, we're still somewhat busy, which is nice, but not nearly as busy as we normally are right now. So
Yeah.
I just want to keep my brain mentally active. And Katy, I'm a Tom Ferry junkie. So we've been doing a lot of Tom Ferry stuff also, just to keep
That's
them.
I want to, is it okay, Katy, if I interject something about the calls?
Of course.
This is something, I was going to mention this earlier and I forgot. This is something that we started doing maybe 2 weeks ago. So checking in with our sellers or potential sellers. So right now I've got a bunch on hold in Vermont. Now, I never really answered the question, like, would you list or would you wait? I am telling people to list because we do have a lot of pent up demand. This is our busiest time, and we have so many people who do need to move. So there's no one's going to sit there and look at that house and go, oh my God, it's been on the market for 35 days during COVID-19. Think there's something wrong with it. That's not. So for us, I'm still encouraging them to list. So anyways, my point was, is that, so what I'm doing with my sellers is we are calling them and setting up appointments to do a virtual coffee date, a Zoom coffee date, or if they're more comfortable with FaceTime, that's fine too. And then once I have it scheduled, as long as I get it scheduled a few days in advance, which is kind of what I'm trying to do, like, hey, like next Monday, let's chat. We send them out a Dunkin' Donuts or a Starbucks gift card, $5 or $10. That's it. If I know it's like husband and wife are going to be there, I send 10. And then it's like we're actually paying for their coffee. We can't meet in person, like to say hi, but hey, let me have some coffee on me, because all those places still can be drive-through only. So, so that's what we're doing.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Love that. Matt, I loved your video. We can't hear you. You're muted.
There we go.
What are
Hi,
your
Matt.
views up to? What are your views up to? I've like secretly been stalking it for you.
I'll just pull it up right now. That's probably.
I mean, not to brag, but let's do it right now.
Yeah, I mean, we'll brag. It's fun, right?
Have you guys all seen it? You dropped it in the group if you guys have been in the Facebook group.
Yeah.
I thought it was really well done.
Yes.
So our people reached 123,738.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
Views 61,900.
I love it.
512 likes, hearts, whatever, and 1,854 shares.
That shares is the best.
For ads, or is that just organic?
That's all organic. It dropped. When did it go out? 12:25 p.m. on Monday.
Wow.
2 days, 2 days and 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, we're happy.
That's really good.
It was. We were hoping to have it out a little earlier, but so I'm in London, Ontario, which is kind of smack dab between Toronto, Canada, and I guess Detroit, Michigan.
I now know it's the forest city. It's the city in the forest. Which is it?
Got it. This is not a COVID cough.
It better not be. I don't want you on my webinar if you got a COVID cough.
But yeah, no, we were hoping to actually have it out sooner, but we got hit with rain and then snow and then rain. So it visually wasn't really going to work as nice. Right. So, but what's really fun, I guess, about it, this is our second video that we've done like this. We did we call it Pure London because it was a direct knockoff from the Pure Michigan idea for London. But this one has actually created some kind of interesting calls that we're going to have with the city next week. So Tourism London has reached out to us. They want to have a Zoom conference on brainstorming some ideas on how we can help some of the small businesses in the area. We do a lot of small business focused stuff. That video, I know, and I've taken some heat from Remax people that a lot of our marketing is not hardcore Remax. And that's because we
just have to choose when to show it. You know?
Well, and that's the thing. Like, here's the funny thing. Everybody knows I'm a Remax agent in my city, right? And you know, the reason though why we actually took our marketing team and made them a separate company is because then we can kick RICO to the door, which is our governing body on rules, right? A separate company, we can go and do whatever we want. You know, so the other thing with that we have launching, I hate to say it, I'm going to say it and it's going to sound awful, but for us, this was actually kind of perfect timing. Because everybody, I don't think if we were in a regular climate, that video would have gotten the reach that it did. But what we actually have launching within a month is actually a store run by Shopify, which we resell products from local businesses, so small businesses. What we're going to be doing as a closing gift is we're going to be giving our clients credit to spend in the shop. So they have to spend it. There's no choice because we are big pushers of local. The other thing that we're launching with that is a program we're calling Lacorum Move, which is when you use a Lacorum approved agent, which is basically my team, and a mortgage broker, you will get shop credit in the categories of either $500, $750, or $1,000 that you get to spend in the shop. And then we also have a rewards program that's launching with it. So our timing for this is perfect because the way anybody who knows Facebook, the way the algorithms work, we have huge reach into the London market now with this video. So it's been fun, but really my personal focus has been reaching out, kind of similar stuff to what everybody's been saying, reaching out to the database and just saying hi and answering questions. And then I've been doing a lot of reaching out to small business owners. That's kind of been my passion for a while now. And trying to understand how we can help. And I mean, the sad reality where we are, they don't know, like the vast majority, to be honest, I would say probably 80% of them don't even know if they're going to be in existence in 2 weeks, which is really scary. And when you ask them, is there anything we can do? I mean, the answer for the most part is they don't even know. And I don't even know what we can do, but they definitely appreciate the phone call because nobody else is making it.
Yeah.
Right. Even if there's like, I mean, what do you do? Well, I don't know. I mean, my sales went to 0 and I still have tons of bills.
Maybe that flyer that Katy showed would be a good thing to work on.
We already have our marketing team working on it.
Cool.
I don't know if you saw me with my phone there, but I grabbed a picture of it and I'm like, we could throw that together in a day.
It takes nothing.
It's
nothing.
I almost want to do it like per town I market in.
Yeah.
This is Holliston is the town next door to me. And this company said, we did Hopkinton. I think they're doing a town a week.
Yeah.
But
it's a great idea.
You know, again, this group operates at a bit of a higher plane. So you could run a couple towns concurrently. Or we could do, like, I live in Metro West. You could say this is a Metro West option. Immediately my mind went to, because I didn't want to steal people's idea, but like, is there almost a raffle or something? You buy 50-50 tickets to get a big, everybody puts one donation in. You're going to help them sell 100 turkey dinners. You want one turkey dinner for free for the raffle basket. And then you sell 50-50 tickets to them. And there's a million ways to slice it, but I just thought the packaging of it was brilliant, and everybody's looking for a way to help. And we all have to eat on Friday nights. Friday night is still a
Friday.
grind.
What are you doing the rest of the week?
Oh my God, I'm cooking.
You fasting all week or what?
No. Like 3 meals a day here, 3 squares to the tune of $400 a week at the grocery store. Bobby, what's going on with you?
Yes, it's pretty much similar to everyone else that spoke already. Definitely a slowdown I've seen in our market, as Jen mentioned, but as Vin mentioned too. I mean, the serious people are still out there, the buyers, the sellers. I've been trying to use this time to work on the business a lot, help the community. I bought like $600 worth of gift cards via, I put out a video just asking someone to nominate, someone on the front lines who's really gone above and beyond right now. I got a ton of responses via Facebook and Instagram. So I pretty much asked people to recommend a small business that you like or someone that likes. So I purchased gift cards to all those places. And then I asked for recommendations for people and pretty much gave those gift cards out to
That's
nurses,
awesome.
Doctors.
That's a great idea. I like that.
It's been an awesome, it was a great, and people, I was able to get in front of people I never would have gotten in front of, just to kind of grow my sphere in a community way. So that was pretty cool. But
Bobby,
just
I'm
like
going to
everyone,
interrupt
just reaching out to people.
I'm going to interrupt you for
texting.
1 minute. I've seen people in my town saying, nominate a first responder, and we'll Venmo them $10.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you get a ton of engagement, a ton of comments on your post. And what are you willing to pay for those? $5? Send them $5 through Venmo.
Yeah.
And you're doing something good, and you're getting the PR, and you're truly doing something good. This isn't just for the PR, but there's no reason that, like Matt said, you can't help your Facebook algorithms by doing it in the correct space.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. So been doing that and like working on it, just updated my whole website, started doing a monthly blog, just trying to use this time to prepare, just better prepare going forward and make the business more streamlined as well.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, Ryan.
Hi, I'm going to be honest. I accidentally clicked that button, but here I am.
You were thinking about it. We were thinking about it. I was like, we've got a late joiner, folks. I see one hand raised.
Hi, Ryan.
Good to see you all.
At least you're not naked.
You.
That's a plus, right?
Well, anything to add, Ryan, since you're here? Anything you want to share with the group?
It's been a little interesting last few weeks for everybody, obviously, but I have a 3-week-old baby and a 2-year-old. So
Congrats.
not having daycare has made my wife's job a little bit harder, I would say.
Yeah.
I quite honestly have used a lot of this time that I've had. I'm literally made a home office out of my baby's room, but as I went through my database, I realized that I had probably like dozens of missing email addresses from people that I've sold to in the past 10 years that I haven't been receiving any of my regular emails, any of my, COVID-19 update email, anything. So like, I realized I probably missed out on like a lot of sales over the last 10 years. And so I've spent a ton of time with my assistant, making sure that everything is now current so that does not happen in the future. So, it's definitely been a true understanding that I was ahead of myself a lot, and we all sell a lot of houses to be in this room together, but I just can't even imagine how many sales I've let go down the drain. As far as the market in Minneapolis, we have a stay-at-home order, but real estate is essential business. And so photographers, title companies, everything is essential. I've noticed that almost all of my sellers and buyers under 350 grand. Nobody is waiting. Our upper bracket's probably like in the 500 plus ish range. Almost everybody is waiting. And so
interesting.
I don't know if that's a class thing or what, but you know, so our business has been quite honestly not bad at all for the weird time that we're dealing with, but not nearly like a spring like we would usually have.
Well, you'll just have a fall like you've never had, hopefully, Ryan.
Hopefully.
That's the piece right there. Did any of you listen to the Jared James, Ryan Serhant webinar yesterday or recording? Jared James is a coach. He's out of Connecticut. He was a former RE/MAX agent. I've known about him for years. I've booked him a couple times over the years, but I'm really getting back into his stuff. Jared James today. Tons of free content out there right now, but he did a webinar, I guess. I don't know, I feel like all these words are interchangeable. With Ryan Serhant from $1 Million Listing yesterday. It's recorded. It was good. It was 40 minutes. It was worth it, but there was one quote that stuck with me, and he I think it was Jared that said it, and he referenced, you know, when the waves are too big for the fishermen to go out and fish, they work on their nets.
Oh yeah.
And this is the time to work on your net. Like, this is your off season. You can still be productive. But Ryan, you know, just what you said with the emails, like how much stuff was falling through that net.
I didn't have space until like a year ago.
Sorry, what'd you say?
You didn't have a database, Katy?
No, I didn't have.
How did you not have a database?
I'm not sure you should have admitted that.
I do. Why not?
We need the net right now. We need the net,
guys. I am on my shit now. Okay.
Katy, how many houses did you sell
last year? 66 houses, 76 transactions.
So multiply that by like 4, and that's maybe how many you could have sold if you had a database for the last decade. However long you've been in real estate.
Nice. Have any of you done the first, the 90-day trial of First IO?
Yes.
Yeah, I downloaded that.
I bought it before that. It's awesome.
That might be something, you know, during this time when there's time to learn a new platform. But again, work on the net. Like, what systems don't you have?
Yeah, that's what my assistant's doing now. Like, everything that I've been wanting to do since I wanted an assistant is now finally getting done. Like, she's developing our website. Because I want to keep paying her. We have plenty of. I'm not in dire straits. I'm not stressing. I still have a ton of stuff under contract that some is on hold, but. And again, I'm still putting stuff together daily. It's just in a different way. But yeah, that's what I've got her tasked with. You know, she is working on all the behind the scenes stuff. So we'll get it together.
The first app's great though.
What's that, Bobby?
The first app, I like it a lot. It just helps you keep up with people, to keep in touch, reminds you, gives you goals every day, who to go after. So I thought that was a great acquisition. I haven't used it until the COVID started, but by RE/MAX to go after a company like that, I thought it was great.
It was the best thing I got out of R4 this year, was finding out about the first.
Yeah. We're coming up on an hour here, guys. I want to be respectful of this, but you know, just like the day on the bus when I said, where do you guys want to go next year? And everyone said Austin, and I dutifully booked that for you. And we've got an amazing hotel. I've got a great lineup, and I don't have a single event on the books between now and then. Everything's been canceled, and I really dug my heels in and said, like, can we just pause for like just a minute before we wipe the whole year clean here, guys?
Yes, please. God.
So
can we just go in
still on the books?
increments?
It's still on the books right now. I fight for it every day, but the plan is at this point to move forward. So you guys will be the first ones to know if we're not. But as of now, I think I've given you the dates already. But it's September 13, 14, 15 in Austin, right? There's something else I was going to say about that. let me ask your opinion. Do you guys want to do this weekly? We can open it up just like this. I don't think we need to start with the webinar component, but we can get together and talk about the last week, or we can go every other week, or I can leave you alone to put together gift baskets from your local market. Whatever you'd like to do.
I think every other week's probably a good idea, just to keep in touch and share things.
Cool.
Yeah, that's why I would say the same thing. I got 5 different ideas of things that I was already kind of doing, but ways to elaborate on. So I think that's good. Cool. 2 times a month. Yeah.
Great.
I have one other thing that we actually, we did one of these and we had pretty amazing response. We did a live Q&A. I don't know. One of the big concerns we had in Canada was all of a sudden they closed the landlord-tenant board. So they just said they're closing everything and whatever. And then now all of a sudden that turned into, in Toronto, there was literally people spray painting signs saying, don't pay your April rent, screw the landlord, all of that. So I don't know if anybody really saw any of that. So what we did is with one of the local larger law firms in London, we did a live Q&A with Sharon Keekins, who all she does is landlord-tenant dispute stuff. And we had amazing response. We actually had, I think it was 186 people on the live Q&A, which was, like, to be honest, like, I think pretty ridiculous for what it was. And we've had a boatload of feedback from it where people loved it, where we have a couple others that are going to be coming up once, like one is with KPMG, where they're going to explain a bunch of like the government programs and where you can go to find them. Those are some ideas for you guys. Mm-hmm. The other thing though, that why I'm mentioning it, I'll be honest, I kind of live in my own bubble. I don't spend a lot of time watching things because I'm more of the mindset of just go out, create and whatever, and don't bother seeing what people are doing. But the other thing that this could be is if you're operating a team, or if you're, part of a, growing an office, if you own an office, it's also turned into an interesting thing where agents in my local community are now reaching out to me, asking me questions where I scratch my head and I honestly say, like, how are you not going to your office manager or your broker of record? Like, what is wrong with your office? And they're just like, well, they don't know. And you're like, okay, but so you almost become, I don't know, it's just an interesting thing that I've noticed the past little bit, maybe somebody, works. If anybody wants to throw this out, send me a message and I'll jump on. And even if, if you're like, hey, can you make sure you ask this question? I'm more than happy to do it, because you do need to plant 1 or 2 people to ask questions during these things, just so that the audience gets comfortable asking questions, which I'll gladly do it for anybody if that's something you guys want to do. I'm going to mute myself now.
Wait, Matt, question. Do you think it would be good to do with like a loan officer or something like that if you don't have like an attorney that does
anybody, any topic related to how this is like, to how this is changing the market? Like, so here's the truth. Like, as of right now, just today alone, I've lost probably about 100,000 GCI from deals going sideways. So it feels like a pretty serious kick in the gut. And I don't know if the United States is seeing this. And then of course, once I notice 1 or 2 deals going sideways, then I get on the phone with the lawyers because they're the ones that are closing the deals. And one of my good friends he runs the real estate department at Learners in London. And he said in the past 48 hours, 50% of his deals right now are in limbo over financing. And so we want to do an interview with a lawyer where they're going to talk about how to really prepare to make sure you're going to close okay. But then lenders won't talk, which is a funny one, because, they know that everybody's just going to crucify them for all of the nonsense that they come up with. But anybody who's an expert, get them on.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Because I will tell you, if there's one thing I've noticed is that no one's giving answers to anything right now. And everybody is wondering, just even as an agent, I'm like, okay, for one of my developers, I got a call. I'm like, you find $3.5 million private money. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like,
hang on.
Yeah, I'm like, sure, in my back pocket. And it turns out because this is the ripple effect that we're hitting, is they have a handful of other developments where builders are buying lots, and now those builders are tied up, unable to get money. And what's weird, any Canadians, TD Canada Trust is actually in the background of 80 to 90% of the deals that are all of a sudden going to fall apart. So to me, that says they're going to be the first ones screaming for some kind of bailout here, because it means that they have something going on in the background where they're in trouble. Or they're just deciding, hey, we're not doing any of these deals and we're pulling shoot at the last minute. And I don't know.
Yeah.
So anybody who's an expert, keep it very, call it like stay in your own lane kind of topic. And just have specific questions. Like if you guys want, like, I don't know, I mean, shoot me a DM and I'll send you the link to the one that we did with Sharon on the landlord tenant board. But we did a long hour and 20 minutes is what it ended up being. We did it through Zoom, live to Facebook, so you can record it. And then we hacked it up to like 20 something short clips. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't look the prettiest from, if you're looking for like a proper YouTube thumbnail, like they don't look the greatest, but that wasn't the purpose of it. But it also though creates, anytime we're talking to an investor, hey, look at this series we put together. There's another way of repurposing it after. I don't know.
Love that. All right, guys. Thank you for being so open. Thank you for being you, spending the time with us today. I know I enjoyed it. It's something I've been looking forward to all week, and I will get out another invite. I think we'll just start like this. Moving forward, we'll just put it in a Zoom meeting. Everybody will be there, and we can just kind of go around the room. I'll throw out some conversation seeds, and we'll go from there.
Brady Bunch style.
Why not? Is there a better group to be a part of, or up, down, over?
Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Take good care.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.